What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Antler Up Podcast. And on today's episode, Dimitri and I are joined by Casey VanDerGraaf of Prime and G5 Outdoors. And Casey is a professional photographer and a graphic designer, and who also has a passion for hunting. And in this episode, Casey shares some great information regarding how to get involved in the outdoor industry, the importance of relationships and building your social media platform. And we also talk about the brand new Prime Black Series bows. It was an awesome conversation. And I think a lot of you that are in this social media content is going to find really, really helpful, because Casey has a great experience at just starting out his career for the last couple of years and does an amazing job with his photography. And I can't wait to see what his 2020 season has planned for him. So Casey, thanks for coming on. I hope you all enjoy this one. It was fun to make, and I'm looking forward to hearing all your feedback. And I just want to say again, a big thank you to all of you for your continued support, especially thank you to all of our amazing partners. Make sure you go check that out over at antlerupoutdoors.com. Follow us on our Instagram, our YouTube, and Facebook as well. And man, we really appreciate it. We're coming up to a year. So next week, on next week's podcast, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So follow along on that, and we'll have some awesome stuff for you for hanging along with us for the past year, and we greatly appreciate it. Also, just want to say a big thank you to all of our partners, everybody from SEVR, America's Best Bowstrings, First Lite, Big Sky Rentals, Stokerized, Cobra, Tethrd, OnX, and Argali. All amazing products, but most importantly, what amazing people everybody is behind that. And make sure you go check out our partners page, because you'll just see all that amazing gear that we use and people that we support. So thank you again to all of them. And again, I hope you enjoy this one. It was a fun one to make with Casey from Prime and G5 Outdoors. So keep listening. And if you like what you hear, make sure you go leave a positive review at the end. So thank you. Until next time, Antler Up. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Antler Up Podcast. And today we are joined by Casey VanDerGraaf from Prime G5 Archery. Casey, man, thank you for taking the time out. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Pretty excited to talk about some hunting, talk about some pictures, and just the outdoor industry in general. So thanks for having me on.
Dude, we're pumped to have you on, and man, I know the time is short, so I appreciate you coming on. So Casey, without further ado, man, tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and what's your story?
Yeah, so my name's Casey VanDerGraaf. I work for Prime and G5, so I'm pretty involved in the outdoors industry as a whole. But I was brought on to Prime and G5 as a graphic designer about, I want to say, 5 or 6 years ago. And then did graphic design while I was at school getting my marketing degree. And then when I finished, I kind of just work in the marketing department now and handle photography, videography, anything creative. So like logo design and all that kind of stuff. So more just on the whole creative side of the outdoor industry. But yeah, so we're based out of Michigan here. So went to school in Michigan, grew up in Michigan, and kind of been here my whole life. So Michigan is my home state. So, but yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the quick rundown. I'm sure we'll get more into depth of what I do, but yeah, that's it for the beginning. So
that's awesome. And now you talked about like going to school. Like, did you know when you were going into college, like that you really wanted to focus on that outdoor industry? Was it something you grew up hunting your whole life, or like how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a funny story. So my dad's been a hunter his whole life, and I went hunting with him. I mean, growing up, and then my first animal that I killed was with a bow. I killed it was a little doe, but I happened to put a pretty good shot on her, and she ran about 15 yards and kind of did the whole throwing up a little bit of blood and rolling around, and it kind of scarred me a little bit, I guess you could say. So I took about 5-6 years off, and then started to hunt a little bit again as soon as I was old enough to understand what hunting was and what goes into it. And actually being able to see the food on the table. And I mean, just my whole family is hunters. So, so that's kind of how I started hunting, I guess, just through my family. But there was definitely a long break in there. And then I just kind of had an opportunity to work. If they needed an intern, I needed an internship for school. So kind of just worked on that way. And I mean, as soon as you into the industry, there's so much good that comes out of it that, I mean, it became just one of my biggest passions. So.
Right. Well, and when you think about it too, I mean, you could elaborate on this even probably like in a million different directions. Within that, there's so much you could go from the prime, like as far as even prime is concerned. You have in G5, you got broadheads, you have the bows, everything when you think about it. So, what would have been some of like your more interesting photo shoots or activities that you've been able to do so far?
So I guess as soon as I started, while I was an intern, and not involved in the industry really at all before that, we had a photo shoot. I mean, I was probably a month into my internship with the bone collectors for our dead meat broadhead.
Yep. So
that was just straight into the industry, meeting kind of these big stars, and I was just absolutely starstruck. I just got thrown into a full, I think it was a 3 or 4 day commercial shoot with those guys, and got to sit down with them and go out to dinner, and like it was just crazy to be that involved that quick, and just like, yeah, I mean, just starstruck. Those guys are who I grew up watching, and I mean, some of the best personalities in the industry. So it's just, that was pretty much as soon as that happened and I got to meet these guys and hear their stories, and I was, hooked from day one. So.
How about talk a little bit how the industry has really changed over there? You've been working with Prime for the last 5 or 6 years and also did some internship with it while you're in college. How the industry really has changed as far as social media and, how the media presence has changed over the last few years. You recently saw Facebook and kind of the TV side of it. Now kind of YouTube is coming more popular. Can you explain that a little bit, what you've seen over your career?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I kind of have a shorter span of time, but I want to say as soon as I started, it was definitely very, very TV heavy. Us as a company, we focused a lot on shooting commercials for TV. So I guess on the way we shoot a lot of stuff, it's definitely changed as far as what kind of media we're putting on. Because before we'd hire out a company to do, 3 or 4 commercials for certain TV shows with. And now, so it's more changing towards, YouTube is a good source of advertising for us, just because there's a lot of different social medias and stuff that really in the last 5 years have restricted what kind of content goes out, as far as, because bows are kind of considered, like, even lump sum, put broadheads into that. So YouTube has been one of the few media companies that is still allowing archery and not considered a deadly weapon, I guess. So,
right.
So I guess our media and our content, we've tailored it towards YouTube nowadays. But Instagram's kind of always been there. Facebook's been there. We've noticed a little bit of drop off with Facebook, but it's one of those media that's always going to be there. So yeah, so it's definitely changed over the past few years, from definitely TV to towards different kind of, what do I want to say? Like there's Amazon Prime nowadays. There's Hulu. There's all kinds of stuff that people are putting their media out on, other than TV. So
right.
Definitely making a lot of content.
Right.
Even towards those platforms.
When you think about it too, you got YouTube, and then just like how you mentioned about Prime TV, you have the Carbon TV app that's on there, and you could just put it on there. You have other kind of app programs like that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Carbon's become a pretty big one too. So, and it seems like a lot of the outdoor channels, and like Realtree has the Realtree 365 and all that stuff, and they're all putting it on different media channels. But it seems like the outdoor industry, it's on everything nowadays. So, which has been awesome, but it's tough from an advertiser standpoint. because
Right.
there is just so many different platforms out there that it's tough to concentrate on just one. So a lot of content being made.
Right. Tons of it. And now, Casey, talk about, you took that little hiatus away from hunting, and then you got back into it because of your family, and just, it was time to, you just felt like it was ready to be time. How do you go about now having time to actually go out to hunt / film and take photos for other individuals, other people that are with Prime, and get what you need to get as far as your job is concerned, but then also have that personal time to go out and hunt as well?
Yeah, that's definitely something that's super tough to do, because as a videographer and a photographer, I am out there following a lot of people along and making films and making spots and stuff like that. But the nice thing is me and a buddy, Mitch Day at work, we kind of have the opportunity to kind of go do our own thing. So like this year we'll be going to Nebraska for about 15 days for the opener in September, and we'll actually have a prototype bow there. So
sweet.
We probably won't film a ton, but we'll kind of go and we'll take pictures, and a lot of stuff that we use for launch will come from a hunt like that. So we'll hunt the PM usually, but the entire day we're spending building content and getting ready for the launch. But we still do kind of get the chance to go out and hunting that night. And obviously a lot of the good content comes when an animal is down, and you kind of get to do a photo shoot that way. So we get to mix it in there here and there, but there are definitely those hunts that you're there to film and you're there to create all the content, and you're just kind of, which personally as a videographer and photographer, I find just as much joy doing that as and actually hunting myself. So I love getting a kill shot on camera just as much as I like pulling the trigger. So.
Now, do you feel a lot more pressure going on those sort of hunts, knowing that you got to get content? You might be trying to put an animal down more just for the photography, the advertisement for the new bow coming out. When you go on those sort of hunts, instead of just kind of trying to kick back and enjoy those days out there in the woods?
Yeah, definitely. So for the most part, when I go hunting by myself, I don't bring a camera. I don't bring anything, just because that's kind of my time away from the camera and away from all the stress. And even if I don't shoot anything, I don't have to worry about all that stress. But when I am on a shoot to get a film done or a photo session, the pressure definitely does come along. And that's just part of filming hunts. So
right.
We just went on a video to do the Mega Meat, the G5 Mega Meat prototype video, and we were out there for I think 5 days, and we were kind of doing spot and stalk axis deer down in Texas, and it came down to the last night, the last hunt before we got a shot at one. So the pressure was on at that point. We were all just kind of stressing about if it doesn't come together, then it's kind of a week's worth of content that's just not going to go to any use and kind of a waste of time at that point. But that's just hunting. Animals don't read the script. So
right.
What's that? I know you add that camera into the stand, and it just, whether you're just filming for fun or, to show your family and friends, or whether you're trying to create content. I mean, just that camera being in the tree stand with you puts so much more pressure on yourself, and archery's not the easiest to begin with, and a lot of mistakes can be made, but that added pressure, it's really hard to get past that sometimes, having that camera with you.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And I think that's one thing that I do a little bit differently. When I'm behind the camera and I'm filming somebody, I really just try to make, like, when I'm doing a film, I don't want to be the guy that's just like, all right, let's walk down that path another time and another time till I get the shot right. I like to film it very raw so that there isn't that added pressure of just everything's got to be perfect. You just go hunting. I'm going to be here at the camera. I'm going to get what I can get, and that's going to be the film, just because I don't like that added pressure, and that just takes away from a lot of the fun that hunting really is.
Right.
I want that to capture that experience between the person and the animal and everything in between. I don't want to be them worrying about a film on the side. So,
well, that's what I even think, with people, the audience want to see content that's not perfect. I mean, then you can relate to it, whether it's someone missing or, it's maybe not the best shot or, or it's caught in that raw moment where maybe you could have reenacted it or redone it over to make it better. But I think you can relate more to the audience and they can relate to your content when it's maybe not perfect, but it's raw in the moment, almost makes them feel like they're actually there.
Yeah. And there's a few companies that do that very well. And I mean, that's kind of what my goal of a film is, just to capture that raw moment of the hunt. So
right now in this world of, let's just say, social media, and obviously let's target the hunting industry just because that's what we're doing. You have the likes of the hunting public. I know they just recently, I don't know how much you follow like their videos or what they put out or not, but they just recently put out a video last week, I believe, where Greg went over his old school DVDs and tapes that he did. Now, because this is kind of like a two-part question here. Did you, like how you just mentioned earlier, when you go out now, you kind of like leave the camera behind, you're going out, you're just like being one with nature, being one with, like within your hunt, you're leaving that camera behind.
Yeah.
When you went into this and how you said you needed that internship with Prime, did you have any footage, like were you self-filming at all at that point?
No, at that point when I first got the job at Prime, I had never picked up a camera at all.
Right.
So yeah, I was never a photographer or a videographer or anything like that. That's just something our company had a need for, and I had the, I went to school for graphic design to start, so right. I knew how to lay out framing and what colors and contrast and that kind of stuff. So it all kind of came a little bit pretty easy to me, just being a creative and knowing how I want stuff to look, but. Right. As far as how to run a camera and all that stuff, it was pretty new to me. So
right. So then like that's actually really good information, because then that second part of that question is like, how, man, it just seems like every other individual and they want to get in this industry. And as long as you have that drive and you do it for the right reasons, like go for it. Right. Like that's even, man, when I met Sam Solholt at last year's Total Archery Challenge in Seven Springs, like, I don't know, it was in that after party with the Elk Federation and all that type of stuff. And my wife was sitting there and he came over and we were just like hanging out, talking. And I ran the idea of what I wanted to do with my friends and with Dimitri here. And he's like, dude, man, he's like, if you got the passion and the love for it, just go and do it. And that's like, I like, it's awesome. But what I think gets lost is the why. And, I'm a teacher, so like I kind of have that, my brain works that way, and I coach, like I'm a varsity head baseball coach, so I'm always telling our kids, like if we go on like a 3-game losing streak, like dude, like let's get back to what's your why are we playing this game, like why are we doing this, X, Y, and Z. So like right now it seems like people want to just get in this industry to get, I don't even know, like the likes, the follows, the this, the that. And so I want you to kind of, if you can, try to talk about going from getting that internship with Prime to working your butt off to where you're at today. Because like I said, man, like it just seems like people do it for the wrong reasons, instead of like just following that passion, your drive, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, you're definitely right. As far as questioning why people are doing it, and especially with, I'll kind of break that up into two sections. So the one thing I have noticed in the industry is kind of with social media and the way it goes, everybody kind of wants to be famous, I guess you could say.
Right.
So with Instagram getting likes and followers and stuff like that. So, which has been kind of tough for, I guess, us just kind of working with people and working. If you look at our, the teams that we sponsor on Prime, and like Jason Matzinger, they really have a mission and a goal and a drive to do good in the industry. They don't necessarily care if they're the face of it, or because they do so much behind the scenes. So we like to work with people a lot like that. So people that really want to give back to, public lands like Sam does, and give back to the Wild Sheep Foundation and all these kind of stuff. So weeding through a lot of people and finding those select few that really do care about their mission more than their social media following or what people think of them.
Right.
Is definitely a big thing for us. So that's kind of the first part, but the second part, and just on why I guess we all do this, is on Instagram there's definitely a lot of following that comes along with good content. So I guess I'm going to kind of touch on the camera and video side of things. So it seems like everybody can kind of grab a camera nowadays, and iPhones are a great piece of equipment. So there's a lot of photographers, videographers, and content creators out there. So we're just kind of trying to find the right ones for it, I guess, for us, and ones with the right mission statement. So
right, 100%.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that all made sense, but
yeah, no, and because that's the thing that's really tough right now, is just because of what separates you from the next Joe Schmo. You know what I mean? And I think what it comes down to me personally, I think it's like your morals, it's your values, it's what, that relationship in general. And that's the one thing that I love about all the people that we work with, as far as as partners, as sponsors, or whoever that we are engaged with. It's more important of the relationship and the friendship than it is the product to me. Like, the product to me is as far as that's the cherry on top. You know what I mean? Like the base, the main ingredients, the main ingredients to that is that relationship, is that friendship. I mean, I take the guys over at Stokerized as the prime example, and especially too the individuals at first. Honestly, I could keep going down the line of Cobra, Brett, and just name all these individuals.
Oh yeah.
I'm a phone call away from not even talking to them about X, Y, and Z of their company. It's just about their life. Like, what do they got going on? What did they do this past weekend? And just then it could get into that. And that's what I think, again, is that's where we are, help, bring the cool thing about this is, in general, of what we do. And this, by the time this one airs, I've said this now probably 2 or 3 times. I get the chance to talk hunting or talk in this world at least once or twice a week when I record with somebody, and Dimitri and I record with somebody. Man, I freaking love that. Like, I have that 1 hour where I get a chance to meet, I get a chance to meet you, Casey. I get a chance to pick your brain, learn from you. Other people get a chance to listen to that as well. That's what I love about this, man. And that's where, like, having you as being that creative content graphic designer on right now to kind of talk about this, I think it's really cool.
No, and that's one of the things that, especially with podcasts, the thing that I've noticed, and you look at people like Joe Rogan and podcasts like that, it's just like the podcasts that always do really well are the ones that the person, I mean, you're just genuinely curious to learn about stuff, and you ask the right questions, and I mean, that's the biggest thing, is you can sit there and you want to bring on as big of names as you can, and obviously a lot of people want to do that, but just the genuine curiosity and the need to learn is what makes a podcast successful. So
So let's kind of let's kind of continue to build on like that social media aspect in here. Like, when you look at it as a whole, right? Now, this could be either your politically correct work answer, it could be your personal answer, however you want to go about it, go for it. Like, when you look, if you go on your Instagram right now and you go through and like how you said, if the individuals up at Prime are like, hey, let's find some people or whatever, I doubt they even do that. Maybe they do. How do you, like, is it about building those relationships, or is it more of, it's just a picture? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's definitely about the relationship. So there's a lot of people that'll come to us wanting to make content, wanting to kind of for us to give them a chance. And what we'll do for the most part is we'll kind of start out with, if we like the content, we'll start out with, like, either, depending on what the name is and what the job we want them to do is, but we'll give them a bow, we'll give them whatever product they need for the 3 months, and we really want to meet everybody face to face before we work with them.
Right.
There are obviously a select few that we do just do a deal over the phone and kind of talk to them a little bit, but we really like to meet the person and make sure that they're going to fit the team perfect. So one guy that we kind of worked a lot with his name's Adam Perry from Day 6 Outdoors, and we worked with him a little bit for just kind of product deals, and then we kind of got a chance to sit down and talk to him, and he just like fit the team so well that's when he started to work his way up, and now he's actually one of our biggest content creators. So
that's awesome.
Putting a name, it's not just a name on paper to us, it really is the whole, they got to fit the team or else it just doesn't work. So.
Now, what recommendations would you give someone, whether it's a high school kid or college kids, or even someone that's, maybe our age that wants to get into the industry? I know when I was in high school, I always wanted to film hunts, and that's what I wanted to do growing up. And, I wanted to go to film school, and I even emailed Mossy Oak back when I think I was 15 or 16. And I said, if I want to get into the industry, how would I go about it? And basically back then it was a little bit different than what it is today. And they told me, film your own hunts as much as you can, get as much education as you can, and then just trying to work through the industry. So there wasn't much guidelines there. And I never went down that road, obviously, at the time, but someone that's been through it, the industry, basically your whole career, if I was someone just starting out, how would you recommend someone kind of work their way into the industry, whether it's social media or advertisement or marketing, similar to the things you do for Prime?
So I guess it kind of depends on what side of the field you want to work on. So if it was the creative side and photography type thing, my biggest thing is just, do it for the passion of the creative work. I mean, the money will follow. That's the biggest thing that I can say is, if you really do enjoy what you do and you're doing it for fun and you're really good at it, the money's going to come. So the need to reach out and try to get a YouTube channel before it started or that type, it's very tough for us as a company to kind of invest in somebody where money's the first thing that kind of comes up, or the content hasn't even been created yet. That's really tough for a company to invest in. So,
right.
Kind of starting out and doing it for fun. It seems like everybody on our pro staff and our content creators, they all did it well before the money was even there. They had a full-time job, and as soon as they got off work, they'd go out and they'd shoot videos just for fun, or they'd film their hunts, or they had their YouTube channel. So those are usually the people that end up doing the best in the industry, and those are the people that kind of get in and work their way in. And it really is, it's a small industry. So as soon as you meet one person, you meet another, and before you know it, you know everybody in it. So it really isn't a big one.
That's awesome, man. That sounds like such a cool experience that you're able to go through it. Full disclosure, I'm 33, Dimitri's 30. 30. So, we're not, just coming right out of college and stuff like that, man. We just
Mm-hmm.
love what we're doing here. But man, that sounds really cool. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. And I think too, I think back to when I get into my health class and I'm teaching them about certain units and topics, man, I try to be as real and as blunt as I possibly can following the curriculum, just because it's what I think they need to hear. And I think this is really good information
Mm-hmm.
for individuals trying to, break in or possibly looking into this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Casey, I want to
agree with that. So
I want to talk a little bit then about Prime specifically. Obviously,
Yep.
for right now, I'm shooting the Black 3. I know from earlier on in the episodes and everything this past year, people heard me talking about the VXR that I had, and it shot great for me. But man, I'll tell you what, when I got a Black 3 in my hands and I had the opportunity to shoot it, my dad bought one It was a huge sentimental type moment too for me with my dad this past year, as far as like when he bought his bow, and his first one that he bought in 17 years from, I think it was like a Matthews QZ or something that he had back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, so it really meant a lot to me the time when we went over to the guys over at Stokerized at their shop, and you know, there was a awesome bow right there, and boom, I was able to you know, to have that opportunity to bring that one home. So when you talk a little bit about Prime, I'll tell you what, man, that thing is a shooter. It holds like anything that I've never held before, as far as like on that back wall. And Dimitri and I always talked about in the years past, and it was actually funny because last year at TAC, a couple of the people that were there, like at the Prime booth, they were asking me like what I was shooting. And at the time I was shooting the Verdicts. And I said, you know, I had the CT3 in as one of the options. And I said, man, I feel like you guys are 1 year away from the bow, from dialing it in, and boom, here it is, that 1 year. And it actually came. You know, I want you to talk a little bit about the Black Series if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess it's for all of you that have never been exposed to Prime. So I guess we've got a few things on our bows that are just a little bit different. And right off the bat, it's that it's not as so it's actually one cam. It's a dual track cam system, but it is a one piece cam. So pretty much what that does is it just eliminates all horizontal knock travel and eliminates cam lean. So a lot of what we focus on at Prime is the accuracy, and not just accuracy, but long range accuracy. So any bow can really shoot 20 yards and you can put a pretty tight group in there. But we really focus on that horizontal knock travel is what makes it makes a big difference when you reach out there to 70, 80 yards. So we've got that system. We've had that since day one for Prime. And then I want to say 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we introduced Synergy technology. So we have a center balanced riser, which just eliminates pin float. It's just a more balanced system. You don't necessarily need a ton of weight at the bottom of the bow. It's just going to be a more balanced system. So that also helps with the long range accuracy. But as far as the Black Series goes, so the one that you're shooting, we introduced Modular Cam System. So that was about a 3 year feat for us. So because of that cam system, there's only so much room in there, and it really was extremely tough for us to put a mod in there.
Right.
But we were able to do it, and it's been unreal for us. We've had one of the best years that we've ever had for G5 or Prime. So that bow has been awesome.
Well, that's what I mean. With changing the draw length is huge now. I mean, when I buy a bow, obviously I want to buy a bow that's going to last me for a long time. But, you know, if you go on Archery Talk, or, you know, people are buying new bows year to year, and, you know, without being able to change that draw length, you really limit to who you can sell your bow to, you know. And I mean, it's just what the market is now with bows and archery. Everyone wants the new bow every year, you know, so they want to sell their old bow. So being able to change that draw length is really going to expand who you can sell your bow to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely. It used to be a pretty high risk to own a Prime just because you could only sell it back to one draw length. But yeah, it's like I said, and it makes it easier for pro shops too to carry our bows.
Yeah,
you don't need to carry all these different SKUs. They can just kind of carry one Black 3, and it's going to cover every draw length. So, seems like a simple piece of technology that's been around for a while, but it really was with our cam system. It's tough to put it in there. So, but yeah, it's helped a ton. So it's made it easier for us at shows too to be able to demo bows right there on the spot, and you don't need a bow press or anything to change out the mod. So we just kind of do it right there in the booth and let people shoot it and put it in people's hands. So definitely been a good thing for us.
Now, can you expand a little bit? I don't know if a lot of people actually know about this, but your program of testing, test drive a prime. Can you explain that a little bit more for someone that may not be familiar with that? And I think that's something very unique to your company as well.
It's called our Prime Test Drive program. So pretty much what you do is if you walk into your pro shop and they don't have the model you want, or it was a lot bigger when we didn't have our new modular cam system, but you'd kind of walk in there and they didn't have your draw length or they didn't have the kind of bow you'd want, you'd order it through the shop under the Prime Test Drive, and we would build the bow and send it to the shop, and you would actually just shoot it right there. And if you liked it, you walk home with it. If not, then they would actually send it back to us, or so it just kind of gave people a chance to order exactly what they want and be able to put it in their hands before they bought it. So
now, and I'll tell you what too, Casey, the one thing that I mean, it's as simple as little things, but the finish even on the bows are just so much better than a lot of different brands out there right now. I mean, what difference do you guys do as far as going out there and changing that compared to what other bow brands are doing?
Yeah, so we've got a fusion process. So it's almost like so I'm talking camos right now, and then I'll kind of go into colors. But for camos, what we do is we just kind of have a color fusion process, and it's just kind of a big old sock that goes right over and we put it in kind of like an oven, and it'll bake the pattern on there, and it's super durable, lasts forever. And we noticed that the colors really, really match dead on for camo. So that's kind of what we've done for a long time. So that's what we do there. And then coloring, it's just, I don't know the whole entire process behind it, but I think it's pretty simple powder coat process. So we've been doing that for the past little bit.
No, I mean, I have right now my bow, the Black 3, is set up with the Grizzly Brown. So that's like one of your new colors this past year. And then as far as my riser goes, and then my limbs are the First Lite Fusion, which, man, that it's such a killer combo. It looks awesome. And I have it pretty decked out right now. I got a Spot Hog Fast Eddy single double pin with a Stokerized stabilizer. I have their new micro diameter M1 SS1 14.5, which is just awesome. Like the balance on that, because I shoot with my quiver on, even when I'm either in a tree stand or saddle. So that balance of that is just it's just awesome. And it's funny because I talk to my dad every day or every other day, and I'm like, so did you shoot today? And he's like, yeah. He's like, man, he's like, this thing, like you were saying about accuracy. And I know, we're from Pennsylvania, and he's not going anywhere other than the tree stand and stuff. And so a 40-yard shot's a bomb for him. And he's like, he goes, I'm hitting like the ring of a soda can from 40 yards with just tacking him in there. He's like, this thing is just unbelievable. And he's loving it, man. He's at like 62 pounds on it, and 27,
nice.
Like a 27.5-inch draw, and he couldn't be more happy about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Those are my favorite stories to hear, is just people being and that's really what we focus on. I mean, you shoot bows, you line when you're about to make that purchase, and shoot them all at 10 yards and without a sight and all that stuff on it. So
right.
It's all because what we really start to the shot, it's when you really start to notice the benefits of a prime. So
right. Well,
that's always good.
I will say this. I went from my VXR with a black gold on it, and I shot a Spot Hog for many years, actually. And when I had this opportunity to shoot the Black series, I was like, man, I'm going to go back to the Spot Hog. And sighting that in was the quickest and easiest time that I did it. And I actually did it when Dimitri was at work. So it was just myself doing it. And it was actually a lot faster than I've ever sighted in, because of like you said, the long range accuracy of that. And now obviously too, it's just, anything could go in as far as a shooter, but as far as me getting those tight groups out at 60 yards, like it was just unbelievable. And that was the first time shooting it, that long distance as well. And I'm excited. I'm excited to take that thing out west.
That's another thing is with that long range shooting. I've noticed you said you've shot like total archery challenges and stuff like that. That's the long range accuracy. You're not always going to take a shot at an animal at 80 yards,
right?
But it's pretty fun to put a few shots down there.
It definitely is, man.
That's what I've noticed is when you get to shoot some targets at long ranges. That's just so much fun. I mean, you're never really going to take a shot that far, but 120 yards is pretty fun.
Absolutely.
Now, can you talk a little bit more about the 82X aluminum? We talk about, you were talking about accuracy and the importance of that in a bow, but I think, the durability of bows is important too. I think being whitetail hunters and hunting in the tree stands, it's a little easier to baby our bow. But, going out west, and I mean, I don't think you can kind of baby your bow when you're out there in the mountains and climbing, and which is very important for a lot of the Western hunters as well. I mean, some of the bows I've had in the past had some durability issues, and sometimes you're half afraid to even take them out or bump them, or that something's going to break or come loose. But the fact that you can really trust that your bow is going to stay intact, and whether it can handle some rough terrain is important as well when you're buying a bow.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the 82X aluminum, that's a proprietary blend that we actually made. So it was just a little bit lighter and a little bit stronger than what we were using before. So we've tested it, and we've beat it with baseball bats actually. So just to make sure that's going to hold up and figure out where it's going to break and what we put that riser through all the tests just to make sure that when you get out there, nothing's gonna happen to it.
Right.
I mean, you're going to get dings here and there, but that's a beauty mark on the bow. So it's just one of those things that we really focus on is that strength of that riser and the way that riser moves throughout the shot process to make sure nothing's going to happen to it, which is something that we've actually done here. I think that 82X aluminum is, I want to say it's 4 or 5 years old. So we've actually we've done that pretty much since I've been working at Prime.
Right. Now, because this is what I think is so fascinating about the outdoor industry in itself is that, a lot of people, a lot of manufacturers could go out and make a great product, and then they source out and they, now the product is not as good as it was and all that type of stuff. What is, man, the one thing that you always hear about is when people shoot a prime, they're like, man, that's, it just seems like whether you're online, on forums, on websites or whatever, or just talking to people, that chance when people actually do shoot a prime, they're usually making the switch from a bigger name, quote unquote, bigger name company. Man, how do you guys just go about and just know your business is like, if we have that opportunity, do you go out and do anything as far as the marketing side of things go, or you're just like, hey man, the bow speaks for itself?
A little bit of both. I think a lot of it really is the bow speaks for itself. Is we have, we're a relatively young company. I think we're 10 years old. So there's not as many people that have shot it, but we do have kind of a small tight knit group, especially when we've got our little Facebook channels that speak to our bow pretty well.
Right.
But it's the people. We do a lot to keep our bow running at its full potential all the time. We have free strings and cables for life warranty when you first buy your bow. So every 2 years we put new strings and cables on your bow to make sure that it is running at its peak at all times. So we do little things like that just to make sure that you're not going to have problems with your bow.
Right.
There's going to be dry fires and stuff like that we can't control, but we try to control everything we can to make sure that bow really is running as well as it can.
Right. And that shield program is fantastic. I think that's something that's really, really cool and different. Again, kind of going off of what Dimitri said earlier is, doing the test drive of Prime, that's something different for you guys. And that shield program is as well. For those that don't know, once you do buy a Prime and you do your warranty and you set up your shield program, not only is that registering you for the every 2 years for the new set of strings, but it's also getting you, don't you get a membership to a magazine? And then you get some other goodies too within a little box.
Yeah, you get a membership to the magazine, you get some free string and cable wax, and you get some a free hat along with it. So just like a little goodie package, just to make sure. Yeah, that's all good. So
that $1,000 little goodie box.
Yeah, I know. No, it's an expensive thing that we do for us. We've talked about it several times about just like, is this worth it for us? Because it is so expensive, and we're just like, yeah, this is something we're just never going to cut.
Yeah,
I mean, the free strings and cables and the goodie box, I mean, that goes a long way.
It honestly,
nobody else out there doing that.
No, and this is just coming from a nobody, but I mean, like, definitely from my point of view, that's something that sets customer service. That's setting something with you kind of feel connected in some way, because, like, I mean, you could call any other bow brand. I mean, if you have an issue with company, I don't know, let's just throw out there like Bowtech or something like that. You have an issue with them, like, you're just going through your dealer, you know what I mean? And, and that's, I mean, for most companies, maybe that's what you're doing. And if I were to have an issue with Prime, I would take it to my dealer, but it almost feels like too, you guys are a lot more out there. Like, I know Rob over here, Cholinsky and everything like that. Like, you know, I would have no issue calling Rob and being like, hey man, like John Mulligan, same thing. Like, there's that opportunity where you almost have people where you could talk to them and actually get answers rather than like getting a runaround.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. People like John and Rob, or, I mean, we have a lot of those guys just around the whole country that we work with pretty closely and talk to on a regular basis, and that really represent our brand good, even no matter how involved they are. It's just, we got a lot of good people on our side, which is just a real blessing. So
now, can you talk a little bit about choosing the right axle to axle bow for an individual? I know, you offer several different lengths through the Black Series. Can you talk about maybe someone that, whether it's what type of hunting they're doing, or if they're new to hunting, or what their goals are in the with hunting season? Can you explain to maybe suggestions of what to choose?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we offer 4 different axle to axles in the Black Series. We offer a 31-inch, a 33, 35, and then a 39. And a lot of it really depends on personal preference. I mean, if you like a longer axle to axle, then we obviously have something to cover that. But it really does depend on how far the shot you're going to take and what kind of animal you are hunting. So out west, that's where we started Prime, and that's really where we started Target, just because of our accuracy factor, which also translated to a longer axle to axle. So the 35-inch has always been our bread and butter and continues to be nowadays. So that 35-inch axle to axle is just a little bit more balanced in the hand. It's a longer axle to axle is usually a more accurate bow. So we were able to bring that brace height in a little bit and keep that long axle to axle. So when you're shooting long distances, it's just going to be more accurate. And then we have our 33-inch, which is kind of our in-between model. So people that that's actually what I shoot, because I shoot a little bit of target competition here and there.
Right.
But I use it for hunting for the most part. So so that's kind of where I sit. And then we really do have our 31-inch. So it's our real short bow, but it seems to be our whitetail bow of choice for just tree stands and ground blinds and stuff like that. That's what most people choose on that side of things. So a little bit of everything.
Right. There seems to be a bow for everyone, really.
Yeah.
And
it seems like most brands do have of axle to. It's just kind of something that it depends on what you like, but our long axle to axles have been that bread and butter for quite a while.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Like, for my first time shooting the Primes, the Black Series, as far as that goes, the Black 5, it was hard, man, just because I am a predominantly whitetail hunter. Like I want to put in an order for a 5 just to just to have and be my kind of like my toy, just because, man, that thing, when I shot the 5, I was like, whoa, like this thing is just so awesome. I that might, like, I have a 3, but man, that 5 might be like legit. I'm not just tooting, like, cause you're on here, like that might be like legit the best bow that I've ever shot. And I actually said that to Dimitri, like as soon as I was driving home, when my dad ordered his bow, I'm like, dude, you need a 5, because Dimitri's a big guy. Like he's 6'1", right? You're 6'1". Yeah. You know, it just seems like that would be a money bow for him. And I'm like, dude, you need a 5. Like I'm 5'7". Like that thing, like it's just big as me, but dude, that thing was so fun to shoot, and it was amazing. And I think the bow that I had, that I shot there too at the shop, was only like a 62 pound. And I'm used to pulling like, and here's the thing too, I'm only usually pulling. So this is kind of, I kind of like this. This is going to lead into something here. I only, like, my past 3 bows that I've ever owned have been 65 pound bows. Just because I'm predominantly hunting here in Pennsylvania, when it's November 15th, like that last day of the season, like just throwing that out there, and it's 5 degrees out or 10 degrees, I want to be able to pull back and not have to like need a pre-workout to do it. Do you know what I mean? So, so I always say, hey, let me get a 65 pound bow. I could draw it back in any temperature. It's easy. It's butter smooth for me. I have a good heavy arrow. Like I do my homework as far as making sure my bow's just set up right. So when the 65 rolled up as the one that I had, the Black 3 that I have, and we topped it out at 68.7, so just basically 69 pounds. Let's just say that. I pull that back smoother than any of my previous 65 pound bows that I've owned the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
We've heard that quite a bit.
Like,
we've heard that quite a bit. Our cam system's a little bit different this year than it was last year in our previous prime draw cycle. So it's a lot smoother of a bow. Our peak weight is actually just at a different spot throughout the draw cycle, which just makes you think it's so much easier to draw. And you'll notice that here upcoming in November. I mean, the temps drop, it's still going to be such an easy bow to draw. So,
and that's the one thing too. Like
good to hear, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man. Like I'm not just saying it because it's you, but like even when I was talking to Sean from Stokerized, and like his thing too, when we were talking back and forth, like, cause I know he has a 5 too, that just came in the other day for him. Like we were talking on the phone the other day about it, and we were both saying just like the grip, like it's so natural. Like for me, I was constantly fighting on the VXR, like my grip, and like now it's just boom, it's right there. It's just natural. It has a good throat to it. I don't know what it is, man. I couldn't be more happy. I'm pleased, and I want you to talk a little bit, if you can, just because it's something that fascinates me in general, just because I'm a gear junkie, and how you said it has taken Prime 3 years to come out with that module system for the cams. How do you go about next year? Like, especially now, like with COVID, you know what I mean? I know, like, if you go online on Archery Talk, like I posted an image of my Prime, and they're like, holy crap, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, I'm waiting like 8 weeks right now. And I'm like, oh man, that's tough. Like that'd be hard. Like, you guys are about to drop a new bow here probably in like November. Especially now with COVID, like what is this something that you guys were planning a couple years ago, or was it like, boom, like the Black 3 came out in October and like we're hitting the ground running for 2021?
So we kind of an idea of what we're going to build around 2 years out. So we're kind of planning on the bow that we'll be building in 2023.
Okay.
So we think, but as far as the actual building concepts and putting stuff into work, usually starts about a year out. So we've been working on the bow that we're launching for this year. As soon as we launched last year, and then we kind of found a few cool things to do even along the way. Like our biggest piece of technology that we'll be putting into the 2021 model was something that we found along the way of our bow process. So, which is a piece of technology I'm super excited about. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. So with the new bows for 2021, we actually, will be the only company, even not just outdoor industry, any industry as a whole with this piece of technology other than NASA, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, you're killing me,
So
man.
we're gonna have space age technology in our bow next year.
How are you going to make us wait that long?
Oh yeah, we're gonna make you wait as long as we can, but
we're going into outer space next year. I like it, man. That's good stuff.
We are.
All right, man. Well, before we wrap it up and I get into like what 2020 has in store for you, I kind of want to rewind. What could one thing be for someone looking to get into the industry or just trying to not necessarily make a living, but just to be involved? What's one thing someone can do?
Just to be involved, I think it totally has to do with conservation. That's one thing that's kind of the reason why I almost got back into this industry. It's just, there's so much good that goes on in this industry and so many opportunities to, especially with groups like BHA and Wild Sheep Foundation and RMEF, there's just so many opportunities to get involved and go. I know near us in Michigan, they had kind of a big cleanup way up north to the north end of us, and they just cleaned ditches and walked thousands of acres of public land and just cleaned it up.
That's awesome.
And they put up gates so that you can't be driving trucks back too far and little stuff like that just, it helps preserve the land. It makes it so much nicer for us hunters, and groups like BHA allow us to hunt even more land and keep it private,
right?
Or keep it public. Sorry.
Right.
So there's just so many opportunities out there to just and it seems like it's such a little thing to just go out there and help pick up trash, but it really does. It does a lot for our industry, and it makes us look good to the 70% that don't that aren't pro hunters but aren't anti hunters. They say there's 70% of those people, and it's just one more experience that is going to make that 70% look at us in a good way, and we're helping keep their parks just as open as us for hunting. So little stuff like that just makes a huge difference, and it's easy to get involved with. So
dude, that's awesome. And it's kind of actually funny you said that, because today is Sunday. It is August 9th. And like I said, Dimitri and I are getting ready to head out west on Thursday. So I went over town today, which we live in central Pennsylvania, and I went over to State College, which is where Penn State University is. And so I'm over there in Wegmans, and I'm getting a bunch of goodies for our trip as we're driving out there to Utah. And lo and behold, as I'm walking, I see Chris Hennessy, who's the Eastern rep manager for BHA. And I was like, Chris, he's like, Jeremy, and, here we are with our masks on, and he's like, what's going on, man? And we had a 10-minute conversation. He's asking me about his trip. I was asking him about, his summer vacations, because I knew he just actually got back from Montana and all that type of stuff. So it was just really cool. Like Dimitri and I had an opportunity to go into his house, and we recorded a podcast. That was one of our early ones too that we did, and we had pizza, we had dinner with him in his household. And man, it's like you said, it's awesome to connect with amazing individuals with amazing organizations like that as well. So,
and working with groups like that and volunteering, you meet a lot of cool people, and you can slowly work through it. I mean,
yep.
Like there's so many nice people in this industry that are more than willing to help you do anything you want. So getting involved is in my opinion, one of my favorite things, and one of the biggest things that we all as hunters can do to kind of rep a good name around us and work our way up. And so
that's awesome.
Just can't help pitch those guys enough. So
right.
They're awesome.
100%, man. That's great stuff. And now, Casey, what does 2020 have in store for you, man?
As far as hunting or
whatever, hunting, filming, what's your schedule have in store, man?
It's a busy one. So I'm actually getting to be able to hunt myself more this year than I ever have. So doing some hunts in Nebraska and Ohio, Michigan, North Carolina, and Missouri. So that's way more than I've ever done. And then I'll be kind of doing some films here and there in Missouri and Ohio. So still doing a lot of that, but yeah, it's a really busy hunting schedule and lots of commercial info to work along the way there. So yeah, it's a bit. How about you guys?
Well, man, we're kind of all over the place. We have, and a lot depends on what, the future holds as far as like schoolwork as goes. I mean, right now we are planning to going back in class, which I hope we do. But then the selfish hunter part of me wants to make sure we do go remote, because then, I could be in Kentucky and have my laptop on somewhere and be, teaching as I get ready to go into a saddle hunt. But, man, honestly, right now, like I said, we're heading out to Utah, and that will be a fun trip. We're going from, opening day until that following Friday, basically. So just 6 days of hunting. And then, man, September, depending on our schedule, I could be going either to North Carolina to some family that has land down there and hunting whitetail, or if things get a little bit more crazier, I could head out possibly to Kentucky. And then so that's September. October 5th is, or 4th, whatever that Saturday is, that's our first day of the opener here in Pennsylvania. And Dimitri and I, man, I know because of Dimitri's going to have to take a lot of time off as far as the Western hunt. So he's going to really focus on Pennsylvania this year. And we've talked about getting a lot more, like to be a lot more aggressive as far as hunting on public land. We have some private land that we're able to hunt, but at the same time, man, we just love getting after on public, just a challenge and, just to see what we could do as a hunter and just have fun with it. But, so as far as October goes, I'm probably going to hunt here that first day, but then I'm going to try to get to Ohio at least 2 weekends and, see if I can make something out of it. And then, really hit the ground running. And then possibly like the 24th weekend in October, I might try to get down to Tennessee and then hunt with some buddies over there at Tethrd Nation, and then really just kind of come back here in the for the rut and just hunt PA. And then if we get skunked out there in Utah late November when the rut kicks in out there,
we might have to go back.
we might go back, because there's like there's a bow only unit that, like, if you don't fill your tag, that you could go out there and if we have a good, nice, safe trip this first time, we might go back again and try to fill that tag.
Yeah. I feel you there. Yep.
So
those second seasons are always good.
Yeah, man. So that's what 2020 has in store for us. Hopefully we could I got a new camera. I have a Sony A6400. So I plan on using that as much and getting some content. And I plan on also getting an AX53 for self-filming, just for, like, I was originally going to just stick with the 6400, and I do plan on having that as like my main B-roll stuff. But if it's just me in the stand, I'm solely, I think I'm going to go that route as the camcorder, just because it's going to be easier, make my life easier. Now, if Dimitri and I are hunting together and one of us is filming each other, then obviously I'll be taking the 6400 out there. But yeah, man, I'm excited. We made a lot of rookie mistakes as far as filming goes last year, and I just started to really fall in love with that content side of things, and I'm really looking forward to growing and hopefully getting, like, what is it in jiu-jitsu and all that stuff, like earning your purple belt or whatever. I don't even know what it is, but
yeah, you gotta work your way up.
Man, I want to earn that stuff, and I want to have fun doing it. And man, it's just so fun. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is just having another year. And honestly, dude, this will be, when this sucker airs, it will be 1 year that Antler Up has been put together, and it will be just shy of 8 months that the podcast has been live. And man, it's been awesome. It's been a hell of a ride already, and I can't wait to just continue to grow and get better and bring content to individuals. So that's what it's about, man. So that's what 2020 has. Really is, man. Yeah, man, that's what 2020 has in store. So Casey, man, where could people find more about you? I know you have a website and obviously the Instagram stuff. So where could people find you, man?
Yeah, so my main source of content is I've just got my Instagram page. It's casey.vandergraaf. But I mean, stuff like that. But you'll just follow along at Prime, G5 Prime, and that's where kind of we do everything on our business side of stuff. So, that's pretty much where you can find me, and I'm more than happy to sit down and wants to call and talk. I mean, hunters and love talking camera gear. So I'm more than happy to sit down and talk. I love it.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking that time out. And hopefully everybody make sure you go follow Casey. Until next time, Antler Up. All right, everybody. So that wraps up another episode of the Antler Up podcast. And again, big thank you to Casey for coming on. And everybody, thank you again for all your continued support. Our season is coming up here in the next couple weeks. It's going to be amazing. And I was actually just outside just practicing shooting from the Tethrd saddle. And man, I love just getting in all that practice before the season, doing my setup with the 4th arrow camera, arm base, and everything. So just going through hunting situations. So I encourage you all to do the same. Keep checking those cameras, and good luck to you this upcoming season. I can't wait to see everybody for what you got going on. Make sure to tag us with Antler Up, and we'll be able to see what everybody's doing, or tag us in it on our Instagram page. And again, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, Antler Up.